All right. We are live wired. John, thanks for being here. We're going to have a great talk about customizing education to meet the needs of your child, which is so important, and it's the opposite of what happens in public school. Nuflum, thanks for being here. We're going to have a great talk about customizing education today, because really the only way an education can be truly worthy is it's customized to meet the needs of your individual child. I'm going to let a few more people trickle in, and then we'll get this party started. I'll also be answering questions Q&A style today for anyone that has questions as it relates to their individual homeschool, because it's so important to assist each other, and that's why I'm here. So if you have any questions as it relates to homeschooling, your individual homeschool, feel free to ask. But I'm excited to talk today about, I recently did an education consultation in which I helped a family set up their homeschool, and really what I do is I customize education to meet the interest and the needs of that individual child. And it's just the right way to educate. It's, when you talk about public schools and the structural problems within them, they have to teach to the average, right? Because if a student is doing very well in public school, right? He gets the material right away. Let's say they're doing math and he understands addition within 3 hours, like 3 course hours. So a couple of days, 1 school week, he understands addition. Well, that class is going to do addition for the next 3 months, whatever it might be. And it doesn't matter that he finds it boring and easy, right? And the same is true on the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's take a child who really struggles with math, and this is the real travesty to me. Like, you want to know why so many children hate math, why so many children hate science? Well, here's your answer. And you get these geniuses at the Department of Education. Why is the United States 75th? Why is the United States 10,000th of 177 countries in science? I think what we need is more funding. We need to change the curriculum. Or maybe it's because when little Johnny doesn't understand a concept after the 3 months of allotted time that the teachers go over that concept, the class just moves on. So let's use addition as an example. So let's say the second or third grade class is doing addition, and after 3 months, little Johnny doesn't understand it. Well, now they're moving on to multiplication. Well, he doesn't even understand addition. So he really doesn't understand multiplication. And by the time he gets to 4th or 5th grade, what a shock. Little Johnny hates math class. Well, that's the danger of teaching to the average, right? The student who gets it right off the bat, he's bored, right? He's like, this is so boring, I don't want to do addition. Can we do some multiplication in here, right? And the student who doesn't get it, no child left behind? No, every child left behind. Yeah, that was me. Don't want the same for my son. And that's why we customize education to meet the individual needs of children. And I'm going to talk about a one-on-one parent consultation I did last week that I really enjoyed working with the family, and I like talking about doing up close on your eyes. I don't know, that makes me nervous. But I really enjoy talking about the consultations that I do and setting up customized homeschool, because that's really what it's all about, and that's how we best meet the needs of our children. By the way, the nature of what I'm doing right here, I really want this to be a lot of Q&A. So if you have any questions as it relates to homeschooling, any questions as it relates to what I'm talking about today, or any questions as it relates to your specific homeschool. In fact, there were a few people on the videos I posted this morning who asked me about homeschooling getting started. I don't know if they're here or not, but I told them I'd be streaming at 12 and I'd answer their questions, so pretty foolish if they're not. So anyway, I get so many notifications these days because like my social media has grown so much, and like it's these constant notifications popping down. It's really annoying. How do I get into homeschooling? Okay, so Gina, thank you for being here. So for someone who's new to homeschooling, I just want to cover this briefly. I do post how to get started videos to the Classical Learner YouTube page, but if you're just thinking about homeschooling, the first thing you want to do, and it's really important to go over this point time and time again because so many even veteran homeschoolers don't get this right. The first thing you want to do is formally withdraw your children from public schools. So where do you get the paperwork for that? You go to homeschoollegaldefenseassociation.org, hslda.org, and they have the paperwork that in most states you have to file with your local school district. You get that paperwork, you file it with the district, you pull your children out of school. Before you choose curriculum, it's very important that we as new homeschool parents familiarize ourselves with our responsibility as parent record keepers. So if you go to hslda.org and you click on the map they have, it will have your state. You click on your state and it will have the regulations listed in the state that you live, right? You need to familiarize yourself with those regulations because there's certain subjects in certain states that you're mandated to cover. There's certain standardized testing in certain states that you're mandated to take. Now, obviously, you could try to get exemptions, but you got to go through proper channels. And in some states, you have to have a certain relationship with the local school district. So if you do that, you'll be fine. And if a government official ever knocks on your door, you'll have your I's dotted, your T's crossed. You do want to keep really good records. There is a free service, Homeschool Sked Track, SKED Track, Sked Track, which assists with the keeping of records. And there are also paid services, which probably are more convenient to use, but they're paid, so you can look at those too. And then once you do that, you want to familiarize yourself because now you have your record keeping down packed. So if your child's in 6th grade, you pull them out, you homeschool for 2 years, and life changes, you have to put them back into public school 2 years later. Well, now you could document that they actually took 7th and 8th grade, and you could put them back into the right grade. So you see this stuff is very important. And then from there, I'm going to read all your comments. I go back up, I'm going to read them, cover it all. And then from there, before you choose a curriculum, do some basic research. Go to my YouTube channel, watch the videos I do on classical education, unschooling, Montessori, and Charlotte Mason. Familiarize yourself with these 4 core homeschooling techniques, styles that people use. And once you know that, you can start to think about curriculum. And there's a ton of good curriculums out there. If you want to ask about anything specific, by the way, if you guys could smash the like button, it really helps the algorithm, helps me reach new people. So please smash the like button. Once you understand those homeschool styles, right, you could choose a curriculum. If you have any specific curriculum questions, I'll answer them right here. Or if you want just a basic overview of different homeschool curriculums, my private homeschool community, Homeschools Connected, which is $10 a month, promo code TOGETHER for $10 a month. Could drop it at any time. You get access to all my curriculum research as well as myself and the community. Did I give my speech yet? Yes, I did give my speech at the Constitution Party National Committee. It went very well. I do have the video, and I will be uploading it to my YouTube page if I get a minute. I'm just so busy, I haven't had the chance. But it went really well. It was, I got standing ovation, which was really cool. Okay. How do I get into homeschooling? How can I be sure I'm covering all the necessary to teach each grade? Well, if you're worried about that, you could choose a formal curriculum like The Good and the Beautiful, Classical Conversations, right? If you just get their Time for Learning, a Becca, like if you just get their year-long curriculum, it covers everything that you need. Or you could just check the regulations in your state, Homeschool Legal Defense, and make sure that you're covering everything you need to cover. But I actually think one of the mistakes that parents make is they worry too much about what you're supposed to cover at this time. Like, I don't care what some bureaucrat at the Department of Education says little Johnny needs to learn, right? Like, what I care about is he is engaging, he's eager to learn, he's learning, he's not memorizing, but he's learning the actual process of educating, the process of learning new information, and he's thinking critically. And if we teach our children to do those things, it doesn't really matter if they've memorized, what year Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I am a special education teacher, and I plan to bring my baby home to Montessori school him. Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. And everyone should be doing one form of Montessori or another, because once you understand the basic philosophy of Montessori schooling, it's really, it's all about setting up your child's environment so that they can learn no matter what they're doing. And like, to me, like, that's obvious, right? So obviously we want to set up our child's environment to make learning easy. By the way, please smash the like button again. It really helps me reach new people. So with Montessori, right, like, if you have your child's play area set up the right way, they'll have an area that is for building with blocks. They'll have an area that's for music. They'll have an area that's for artwork. They'll have an area that's for writing, all that type of stuff, right? So that when they play, it's set up so that they can learn. And then, of course, it goes beyond that. Like, if your child is learning how to cook, right? I did a whole stream on teaching children nutrition yesterday. Well, if your child is learning how to cook, you want to have it set up where they can participate in everything. So Montessori philosophy says that you get them a stool so they could step up and actually be at the counter, right? And then for my son, we actually bought him the special kind of knife. I forget the brand. But if he took it and went like this on his hand, it would not cut his hand, but he was able to cut fruits and vegetables with it. So, like, everyone should be implementing some degree or one degree or another of the Montessori philosophy. Hey, man, I see your books all the time. I need to support and get a few. Yeah, I hope you get them, and make sure you download the free lesson plans that come with the books off my website. I actually make the lesson plans myself, and they're designed to facilitate conversations about some really complex topics with young children. Like, it's designed to facilitate conversations about free speech and social media censorship, right? And the book kind of plays with the lesson plan, so it's really, really cool stuff. So anyway, so this week, or about 2 weeks ago, I did a consultation. I do one-on-one consultations. I'm going to take this off. I thought it would be colder, but it's actually pretty hot out here. My wife is a practitioner of Eastern medicine, acupuncture, and for anyone who's familiar, they say that sickness is triggered through coldness in the nape of your neck. So if you feel something coming on and you're going to be outside, it would be wise to cover the nape of your neck. So I worked with a family 2 weeks ago, and I set up a custom education plan for their homeschool. And when I worked with this mom and dad, they were very impressive, very type A personality, really tries to be on top of everything. I bought all your kids' books, but one of them cut, and they never replaced it, so I need to rebuy it. No, you don't need to rebuy the book. That's Amazon. They're the printing center, so they must have made a mistake. But if you email me, classicallearnertoday@gmail.com, I will send you a copy of the book myself, and I'll sign it, because you already bought my book. And I mean, obviously, like, if you could write Amazon, they should do the right thing and send you a copy. But yeah, that's their printing center where that went wrong. Finally, doing homeschooling, but I am not guided, so I'm thinking of using Abeka. Yeah, Abeka's a good curriculum. You know, if you want to join my private homeschool community as well, I think that would be of great benefit to you. But yeah, I agree. I would definitely have some type of formal curriculum just to use as a guideline, even if you don't do everything they recommend. It's always good to just have something that's there, could guide you, and and from there you just do what you want. So I did a consultation with this family, very type A personality, really on top of everything. And when I sat down with the family, they were going over all the different things they were doing with their child. And like, they were doing classical conversations, which is, it's if you click on the link in my profile on TikTok, it's Homeschools Connected, it's called. And you could join, promo code TOGETHER for $10 a month. What is the best way to connect with other homeschoolers in our area? So that my son could socialize. Try Facebook groups. They're actually really good for that. Facebook groups. You'd be surprised also, like Altitude, like there's a trampoline place that has special parties for homeschool families. You just have to look at, Google homeschool events in your area. Go to those events, and then from those events, just kind of socialize and network with families. So I was doing this consultation, and I met with this family, and they were doing a lot. Classical Conversations, which is a great curriculum all on its own. It's a curriculum that uses the classical method of education. I really like. They were part of another homeschool. Oh God, the word's eluding me. But another homeschool community they were a part of. Their child was taking classes probably 5 days a week in different things. And then on top of that, at school, they were doing formal schooling at home for about, he has a link in his bio, I'm joining soon, thank you. They were doing about 4 hours a day of formal school on top of everything else. And as the mother was explaining to me all the different things the child was doing, my first thought was, in my opinion, it sounds like they're doing too much. 8-year-old child, 4 hours of formal school a day, plus all of these extracurriculars the child's doing. And while I have a great amount of admiration for the family because the level of commitment is truly fantastic, what I ultimately got into with them is that sometimes when we homeschool, less could actually be more. And especially for early childhood education, I really don't recommend more than 2 hours of formal schooling a day. Now, you can do other types of schooling, right? Like a nature walk is a form of schooling, but it's not formal, right? I always say make sure you get in the recommended hours by the Department of Education. But of course, you decide what that looks like, right? You decide what that looks like. So, dog's barking at me. So, I don't recommend more than 2 hours of formal education a day. So, I recommended that the family read 3 books, which are The 5-Hour School Week. I think all new homeschool parents should read The 5-Hour School Week. It's a really phenomenal book. It's very well written by 2 homeschool parents whose daughters have had amazing success. The Call of the Wild and Free, and Free to Learn. Hey Lulu, that dog will eat you. Hi. You guys want to check out the action? Show you guys the action. It's my neighbor's dog. It's huge. Hi. And there's my dog, Lucy. Hi. What are you doing, big guy? 2 of them. There's 2 dogs, gigantic. I wanted to jump up so you could see them, but anyway. I joined Facebook homeschool group. There are a lot of parks in Southern California. Yeah, and surprisingly, California is actually one of the freest states. It's weird to say that when it comes to homeschool laws. So you really have a lot of flexibility of how you could homeschool. Like a lot of states, like if you're homeschooling by law, you have to be the primary educator. But like in California, you really have a lot of flexibility to join homeschool groups and document what you do in the groups as the actual homeschooling. So yeah, I recommend the 5-Hour School Week, The Call to the Wild and Free to Learn. So then we started talking about the child, right? Because it's one thing to jam-pack their day. It's another thing to really start to understand the child and customize their education to their needs. And this is a very impressive young girl. Very impressive. She was very into artwork. The family was already doing great They were using Art Hub for Kids, the YouTube channel, which I really like. I have no idea how to get into a group in Maryland. Yeah, look for Facebook groups. I do have an apparatus on my Homeschools Connected for connecting with other families. I don't have enough people in it yet where it's viable. So if you look on Facebook for groups, or just like Home Depot sometimes has homeschool events, like different type of children places in your local area, call them up and ask if they do homeschool events, and if they do, just attend, and then just use that to 420 Drya, how you doing today? What's the deal if you start homeschool in one state and then move mid-year to another state? It should be fine. You just have to make sure that you keep good records, and when you get to the new state, check what their regulations are. But, generally, the subjects you're supposed to cover state to state are about the same. So this family was doing Art Hubs for Kid YouTube channel, which I really like. But I really wanted to get this girl onto an art track because she was very artsy. She enjoys theater, one of the classes she was taking, which I think is so cool. If your children are artsy, get them in theater right away. She was taking piano lessons. I told them that's fine, continue that, at-home piano lessons. There's also programs for like Piano K, which is really cool if you want to get your children involved to learn the piano. It's like a self-teaching piano program. Museums generally have free homeschool groups. We have met a lot of people at the library. That's what I was looking for. Yes, museums are great for that. So check the local museums. Just call them up. Be like, do you do anything for homeschool families? And a lot of the time they'll say, why, yes, we do. So I really wanted to start this child on an art track, which I really like. And the reason I like art as a track, I think I might actually do a whole stream on art as a track, is you can do so much with it. Like, we incorporate unschooling and entrepreneurialism into everything we do with homeschooling, right? So like if your child does art, well, you could take him to the dollar store, the $5 and below store, buy a bunch of t-shirts or white shoes, right, for $5 or less. Teach them how to do some basic marketing on Facebook or at their, with local children in the community. And you could actually have them sell custom shirts. They could sell custom shoes that they make. You could have them sign up for a site like Gear Bubble, which you make your custom designs, you upload them to the Gear Bubble website, and then if people order your shirt, Gear Bubble actually prints the design onto the shirts as they're ordered and sends them to the people ordering the shirts. And then Gear Bubble takes a cut, and your child will get a cut. But you're teaching them how to do basic business things. They could do contracting through Fiverr. They could market themselves as artists available to design book covers, which like really talented artists get like $500 for a book cover if you really establish yourself. So like there's so many cool entrepreneurial things that you could establish with the art track. So I really like art as a track for children. And when I talk about this business stuff, understand that every semester of your child's life from the time they're 5 years of age, you have to make sure, you don't have to, but you should make sure that you're doing something business related, some type of basic marketing, some entrepreneurial type venture, so that your child is not only getting experience with marketing and sales and accounting and products and services, but they're developing an abundance mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset. And if you do that and you pair that with skill development, and art is a great skill, right? If you're a talented artist, you could design book covers for $500 a cover, and you could probably get the book covers done in one night, right? So if you have skills and entrepreneurial experience, you're going to have a lot of success in life. Help, we have 30 homeschool kids that we want to arrange a swim day once a week. No parents allowed. What do you mean no parents allowed? Is that because of the weird Heineken infection regulations at our rec center, as we aren't, because you aren't genetically modified? You're not a genetically modified human, so they're not letting you in. Are they making the children be genetically modified? Are they saying the children have to be genetically modified to, I have to speak in hobo code, because if I don't, the algorithms will say, oh no, he's talking about forbidden topics like, I don't know, what they're doing to all of us. So, I mean, how could it be forbidden? But okay. Yes, exactly. No kids under 12 are fine. Do they have lifeguards? I mean, if they have lifeguards and proper safety precautions are in place, yes, exactly. No kids under 12 are fine. Yeah, if they have lifeguards, I'd be fine with sending the children there. I mean, I'd want to speak with them and make sure proper safety precautions are in place, but that should be fine, right? If not, there's 30 children. No one has a pool, right? I mean, you could do it at one of the parents' homes. Maybe not, maybe 30 at a time. You just have to get creative. But I think that's really cool. I think that's great that you're doing that. So yeah, I love art as we live in Canada. I don't know, you freaky deaky Canadians. You guys need the right to bear arms over there. The lawmakers need to read my number one Amazon best-selling book, The Right to Bear Arms. I never thought that was a possibility. It's just such a cool thing to me. And it's not like the New York Times. Like the New York Times number one bestsellers, these book writing agencies, these publications, they actually guarantee you before... Fire Marshal Bear, what's up, brother? I've been doing this stream every day at 12. Which actually causes me to miss the beginning of Owen streams, which I don't like, but it's just the right time for my schedule. But yeah, we're talking about educating children, and we were talking about The Right to Bear Arms. My book is now a number one bestseller. And the New York Times bestsellers, they actually tell the authors, they say, yeah, don't worry, before the book's even written, they say, this will be a New York Times bestseller, because they just have an agreement with the New York Times. So it doesn't actually mean anything. It's like they're just paying for the prestige. But the Amazon number one bestseller, that's actually like analytics. That's enough people bought The Right to Bear Arms that it actually reached Amazon number one bestseller, which I don't love Amazon, but I gotta say it's a big accomplishment for me. It's really cool. So I'm excited about it. I'm not gonna pretend I'm not excited about that. I am. Got the books. My girl loves them. Thank you, brother. Yeah, so we were talking about art, and I love art as my kids too. I love art as a track for young children because of all the different entrepreneurial things you can do. And if you teach them to market themselves right and they're talented, I ordered it for my kids, can't wait, and they're talented, if they start at 13 years old designing book covers as a contractor on Fiverr, you really could, with proper marketing, have them making $800, $500 a book cover. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed this is going to happen, but either way, they're getting the entrepreneurial experience. And if you do it right, they really could be making a lot of money per book cover or illustrating children's books. By the time they're 18 years old, they could have a fully functioning business. So I really love art as a track. So this young girl, she was 8 years old, and I found two new programs that I really love. Which is Easy Digital Design for Kids, which is the youngest program, or the earliest program I found for children that introduces them to the concept of graphic design. Graphic design, book cover design, logo design, right? These are career tracks. These are entrepreneurial tracks that your children can go on. And you're starting for this girl at 8 years old. So Easy Digital Design for Children, really cool stuff. By the way, my wife, Mrs. Classical Learner, absolute legend, posted a TikTok. I'm trying to get her into it. Posted one today, and I'm going to do a duet with it later because I'm trying to promote her stuff. But definitely check out her Mrs. Classical Learner's TikTok. She posts a really cool video she did with my son and my daughter, and the Kinderbot, which is all about teaching children coding. So I'm going to duet that. I'm going to try to pump her up. But I was really pumped that she's getting into it. And quite frankly, it gives me stability, right? Because these accounts are always in danger by the beast system. And not to mention, oh, look, she's here. I make fancy TikToks. I didn't even know you were here. See? I'm always telling the people about you. My wife is my hero. She's bared 2 children, and I love her to pieces. So, any advice for co-parents and homeschool? When you say co-parents, you mean like divorced, I'm guessing? I'll let you clarify that, and then we'll take it from there. So yeah, digital design, easy digital design for kids. And then the next program I found is even cooler, and I was so excited about it. They market themselves for ages 9+, but the Digital Media Academy, and they market themselves as teaching children to make video animations like Pixar style, Disney Pixar style, which to me is like such a fun activity for young children. And there's so many cool things you can do with that. Like, even in my mind, because like, you know, like I'm like not political, but I'm fringe political. Let's be honest, I am political, but I'm more cultural and moral, right? Because politics are downstream from culture, and culture is downstream from morality. By the way, smash the like button. It really helps me get new eyeballs, which I'm trying to grow this channel, so I really appreciate any assistance you can give me in that endeavor. And I'll also be opening a P.O. box, so I'm going to give you guys an avenue to send me letters if you want. I can read your letters about whatever you want to talk about and promote your businesses. So I just have to get to the post. I'm so busy all the time that like I have these big lists of things I have to get done, and like I get like a fraction of them done a day. My ex is not into it. No, she's all genetically modified up and sends my kids into Fire Marshal Bear. Come on, man, we need some leadership. You're a fire marshal. Now, you know, it's tough when your spouse doesn't agree with you on how to educate the children, and I always try to say find happy mediums. Like your wife could need a break sometimes. Sometimes that's all it takes. So like, I'm the homeschool guy, and I'm actually considering, someone opened up a 6-child daycare on the block that I live, just a mother. And I'm actually considering sending my child there for like 2 days a week to do homeschool type stuff, just so he can hang out with like 6 other children and do some educational stuff for 3 hours a day. And that gives my wife a break, because she has such a burden with, you know, I'm promoting this, I'm working with homeschool families, and she actually takes on more of the homeschooling burden than me. I'm kind of the philosophy driver. I drive the unschooling, but like any type of agreement you could come to with your wife to make it work, that's what you do. So there's no one right way to homeschool. You just got to do what works for your family, and never be ashamed to, like, there are homeschool families that actually send their children to public school like 2 days a week, and that's fine. You do what works for your family, but just don't quit, right? Like, don't be like, oh, I can't do this, I'm going to send them to public school, because that is not going to serve your children in the long run. I try with her, and I fight the school. I focus on unschooling when my daughter is with me. Yeah, and you could do that too. Focus on unschooling, and like, hey, listen, I'm not afraid to tell, like, I wouldn't be afraid to tell my children that the school is part of a satanic system, and that right now you have to be there, and you know, you do it child friendly, like, hey, I want you to get the most out of it and enjoy the socialization, like hang out with your friends, but like the real important stuff to your education that we're going to drive home is we're going to do unschooling at home, and we're going to teach you some skills, and you're going to be very successful. Part-time, send them a few days and keep them home a few. Yeah, people do that. It depends on the state. Not all states allow that. So your kids can go to public school part-time in some states. Depends on the school, depends on the state. How is this, guys, do you guys know, I always see people share their stream. Can I share my stream? I would love to share my streams. Let's see, share. How does that work? What happens if I click this button? Flip camera, mirror your video. I don't know what that means. What about this button? Add a host, add a guest. I don't know. Some people share their streams, apparently. I don't know. how they do that. I'm sure my state would not allow that. Well, you'd be surprised. California is like the worst state ever, right? But they're actually the best with homeschool laws. So go figure. They're wicked strict where you are. The system is not nice for our kids. No, it's not, but that's why I share your streams all the time. Thank you for 20 Drya. I bow to you like Japan. Japan says, you Americans, stupid. You shake hands. Now you afraid to shake hands, but we bow. Massachusetts thinks they are the educational gurus. Yeah, well, they got MIT and Harvard, right? So they're so much better than us. Nah, I'm not going to hate on them. They actually take in a lot of homeschool students, MIT and Harvard. I've been posting all my TikToks to Instagram, and I just like the notifications like boom, boom, boom. Classical Learner Today on Instagram. Check that out. So yeah, I love art as a track. I like the Digital Media Academy. I like Easy Digital Design for Kids, which introduces graphic design. And the Digital Media Academy, which teaches children like Pixar-style animations, which, that was my point. For me, I'm like, oh man, when they're older, they'll be able to make really good educational videos, troll videos. Like, if I could do like Pixar-style animation, I should take a class for 9-year-olds because I would just troll everyone with it. Like, there's this guy, Mountain Bear, who makes these videos that are just hilarious. They're like Family Guy style, and he has all of his accounts constantly banned off of YouTube because that type of artwork is so powerful at shifting human consciousness, right? They used to say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, so is a meme. So is a video animation, right? And that's why they work so hard to scrub the internet. In fact, a few years ago, the European Union, I'm not sure if they passed it, actually tried to pass a law in which they would basically make it almost illegal to make memes, right? Because these people are so terrified of pictures and animated videos shifting human consciousness. Artwork has the power to shift human consciousness, and I think that's why they really try to make artwork ugly. Like, you go to a museum and sorry about that. You go to a museum and like there's like a red blot on a piece of paper, and they'll be like, this is artwork. It represents the female period. And it's like, this is disgusting. This is not artwork. But they make it ugly, and like they don't teach it in school the way they should. And it's like, you almost think they do that because they don't want people to be artistic. Like, they told me I wasn't artistic, and now I write children's books for a living, and I make memes every day, and every day I'm making creative videos for TikTok. I'm actually taking the 14-day filmmaker right now to try to get better at video editing. So like, artwork is so powerful, and it can literally change your life. Artwork has changed my life, right? Like, I'm a children's book author, right? I sell children's books. I run a homeschooling company, and like, I probably wouldn't even be able to run the homeschool company without the children's books. So that's what gets people's attention. Like, I've been inboxed by congressmen running in Michigan. Heidi St. John, who's running in Washington, was talking about me at her event. I gave a speech last weekend at the Constitution Party National Convention, all made possible by artwork. So like, if you're wondering, am I a big fan of artwork and you getting your children into art? Yes, art is an important education, and it's one of the best things for teaching them unschooling. We are building a human skeleton in the kitchen. Yes, my wife and my son, I got to figure out how to shut off these notifications. They're so annoying. They're driving me crazy. I'm just going to pick this up because my neck is hurting. My wife and my son are actually making a mold of a human skeleton, and my wife is teaching my 3-year-old about the human anatomy right now, and that's with like a $8 kit that we bought at whatever store it was. So there's so many cool things you can do. So I love those programs for teaching your children art. So this child, I had, they were already doing piano lessons. I love that. I also love Piano K for teaching your children piano if you can't afford lessons. Real cheap. It's the self-teaching piano system. They were doing a cooking class. What I recommended, and I talked about this yesterday on my stream, was the Fun and Healthy Cookbook and the Junior Chef Masterclass book, which are both really good for teaching young children cooking. And then with that, it's just the same concept. You cook a meal like once a week if your child's into it. Like if they want to do it every day, let them do it every day. But like don't force it. You cook a meal once a week. Have your child cook a meal for the family for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And once they get good at cooking, like there's so much you can do. They could host bake sales. A track that I really love for like high school students is they start hosting bake sales, but then they actually offer subscription services to people in their community. They could do social media marketing where they cook cookies every week or cookies or something like that. And then they actually offer to deliver those cookies for like $5 a week. For $5 a week, I'll deliver 2 cookies to your doorstep every Saturday, right? And you'd be surprised, like they get like 100 clients, your high school student. Well, what's 5 times 100, right? Well, now they're making $500 a week selling cookies, right? You know, minus the cost of the cookies, but they're making profit, right? And, you know, extrapolate that out, right? If they get 200 clients, right, they're making 200 clients times 5. They're making $1,000 a week in revenue selling cookies. High school student. But public school is better. Public school is better than homeschool. Oh, man, the Department of Education. What a joke. Mrs. Jenny, hi, how you doing? Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate the people that I see come back every day. Like, I work really hard to build Classical Learner, Homeschools Connected, and like the people that show up every day. Hey, Jenny. The people that show up every day and share my stuff and smash the like button, like the people that tell other people about my books, it really empowers me. And you're doing a really good thing in the world. And that's why I'm going to open the P.O. box. I want you to be able to send me letters. I want you to be able to promote your business, promote what you're doing with your homeschool or in life through my platform, because I do have 75,000 followers now, which is really cool. I didn't think that would be possible going back a few months. I don't know if I didn't think it was possible, but it's really cool. Hi, I'm from Houston. I'm new here. Recovering boss babe. Boss babe. Look out, gentlemen. Welcome. Forgive me for my ignorance, but how do I like this? Forgive me for my ignorance, but how do you... I don't know. I think there's probably a heart button. Tap the screen. Okay. I have given you guys a full insight into my technological ineptitude. Just poke him in the face. My wife likes that. And my sister told my son that if he would just poke me during the day, she would send him kites. So now he just comes up to me and he pokes me and he's like, tell Aunt Erica. Anyway, the abuse I take. So cooking I really like as a track. There we go. I'm not savvy on TikTok. I have 2 little ones. I want to find a co-op because I'm single, working mom. Any suggestions? Yeah, check your local Facebook groups. People were saying earlier in this stream. Sorry, I keep hitting the notifications because they're annoying me and I'm trying to get them out of the way. But yeah, you can call local museums in your area. Ask if they have homeschool groups. Like call Home Depot, ask if they have homeschool events. Call like Altitude, like all these child places. They usually have homeschool events, and like if you just go to one of the events, you could start to network. But yeah, Facebook groups. Facebook, like I knock on them a lot, but they really are great. And I do have an apparatus in my homeschool community for connecting with people in your area, but it's not built out enough. Like, I don't have enough people for it to be viable yet. But like once I get to like 1,000 people in there, it's going to be awesome. Facebook homeschool groups in your area is the best resource to find. Yeah, it really is a good resource. Facebook's also really good for their marketplace. Like, Facebook sucks as a social media app. Like, Facebook is the worst. I don't ever want to post there. But like their marketplace, their homeschool groups, they're really good for stuff like that. I'll look into that. Thanks. All right. Our gym has a homeschool physical education class. Oh, yeah, so local gyms. Like, people are so creative. Like, can I Snapchat these? Because people are just... Like, the community is more valuable than I am. Like, I only know what I know, but, like, our combined brain power and experience as homeschoolers is just awesome, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, I started her on that. The child was having... not difficulty reading, but was pushing back on reading a lot. So what I suggested was that if your child isn't loving reading, like, get them audiobooks and audio CDs for the stuff that they don't want to read, and just do like 45 minutes a day of reading of their choice. So I don't care what it is, I don't care what the subject is, what the topic is, I don't care if it's reading that's technically below their grade level, as if that has any meaning. But like the number one objective of early childhood education in terms of reading should just be to develop the love of reading. So like, don't make them do tedious reading that they don't want to do. Just make sure they're reading for like 30, 45 minutes a day. Let them read about what they want to read about. And it's the same thing with writing. Like, let your children write creatively as possible. As an Amazon #1 best-selling author, my recommendation that you allow your children to write as creatively as possible. And one of the programs I love is a book you could get on Amazon called The Creative Writer. It's a 4-part series, which is actually designed to teach your children the elements of story and the way they market themselves. They say after you complete their 4-year kind of curriculum, your child will be ready to write graphic novels. I lose my voice doing this stuff. I'm brand new to all of this, but I'm so interested, especially how crazy public schools are now. It can be a bit overwhelming. Well, I do one-on-one consultations, or if you join my private homeschool community, promo code TOGETHER, it's only $10 a month. But you have me on these live streams, so if you have questions, answer them. Like, that's why I'm here. This is what I do. And I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And you're going to do great if you're a single mom. Definitely find other people in the area, because you're going to want to outsource some of your schooling as much possible. Because, I mean, I have the most amazing wife in the world, and I could tell you how difficult it is sometimes to handle working and schooling and life, right? So it's just never be ashamed, never be afraid to ask for help. We are a community. My only rule in this community is that this is a no despair zone, right? So if people come in here with despair, I tell them to get lost, because this is a community of crushers, and we will do a great job, and we will homeschool together, which is why I chose that promo code. I have found a couple of like-minded parents, which is a decent start. That's a phenomenal start. I mean, if you think about it, if you find 5 other parents that you trust in your area who homeschool, you guys could literally rotate and take the children one day a week. Now, check the regulations. Make sure you supplement it so that your children have enough individual instruction with just you when you report that to the Department of Education. But as long as you stay within their regulations, which I always recommend, then you'll be just fine. Recovering Boss Babe 2.0, that's amazing. We are all fed up with the school system. Yeah, I posted a TikTok this morning because a parent had wrote on my comment that their kindergartner was being taught like African American history. So I did a reply to that comment. I was like, yeah, someone should tell the geniuses at the Department of Education that young children don't think about race. It doesn't even register to them. And they only start to think about it when these ultra liberal teachers in public school start to point it out to them. And like, they teach young black children that they're victims, which is, if someone ever tried to convince my child that he was a victim, oh, they would have a problem with me. What a horrible thing to teach a child. And then they teach young white children that their skin color, oh, look, your skin color make you oppressor, says really basic thinking person. Hey, here's a riddle, geniuses at the Department of Education. Whose family came to the United States of America in the year 1910? My family. What year did slavery end? 1865. Now, explain to me how my family is responsible for what happened in America in 1865. Well, the overwhelming majority of the population in the United States of America arrived here after 1865. Hey, there's a concept that works. But they know this. The Department of Education knows this. The system is designed to divide people based on race because a population, right? If you have black people pointing at white people and saying, you're the cause of the problems in this society, and if you have white people pointing at black people and saying, no, you're the cause of the problems, right? Women and men, right? They break people up into groups because then society gets easy to control, right? You just pin the groups against each other, and the controllers at the top can steer society and public policy in whatever direction they want. Which is why I've been telling people that aren't genetically modified not to treat people who are genetically modified poorly. I'm sorry, I just love the rhetoric. I love that rhetoric. But really, you shouldn't treat genetically modified people poorly. Like, don't go to people that are genetically modified and say, you can't participate in my events. Like they're encouraging the genetically modified to do to us. Like, division is not good. Unity is good. Like, I love black people. That doesn't mean there's not black people I want nothing to do with, right? That doesn't mean if I see Jamal walking across the street with a hood on, I might not cross the street. Like, I'm not dumb. I look at statistics, but I judge every individual person based on the content of their character, right? You know, yeah, there's a lot of white people I like. I know some white people that are meth heads that I don't want anything to do with. I know some white people that, given the opportunity, who are like, they'll be your friend and they'll pistol whip you with a gun and rob you. Like, so it's like, here's a concept. Why don't you judge people by the content of their character? But the system purposely divides people by race because if it does that, they're easy to control. And this is just propaganda 101, governance 101, Machiavelli, just obvious stuff. But, most people don't read. All right. What is this one? Add a guest? I don't know what that is. I have a notification on my screen. I don't know. I don't know. Don't overthink this. All right. So then I recommended, the child was very upset that I did the consult for, that like the child had actually said to the family that like, I feel like all we do is school. So like I recommended a lot less formal schooling, like the artwork, like painting out in nature, creative writing, just kind of like fun stuff. And another thing I recommended was, rather than doing like science, the KiwiCo monthly boxes. What are the names of these companies? KiwiCo. The Young Scientist Club, Mel Science. And they actually deliver science boxes to your door. every month, right? So I recommended those rather than like the formal science education, and that's good because your children are actually physically engaging with science. They're engaging with the scientific method, which is the proper way to teach science. My 6-year-old has enjoyed KiwiCo for the past 2 years. Okay, great. So like, and that's the proper way to teach science, because the way children learn science in public school, it's kind of like it's God science. It's authoritative. This is the Big Bang Theory. And even though theory is right in the name, we're going to tell you that it's the Big Bang fact. And if you dare to question it, you're going to be told you're wrong by the teacher and mocked by your peers, right? Like, that's not science. That's authority, right? Children should be doing scientific experiments, actually practicing the scientific method, right? And hey, Coley, Brady just walked outside in his underwear talking to my wife. If you could please come prevent him from showing his self on the stream, I'd really appreciate that. I don't think he sees me. My son's favorite thing is scientific experiments. Right, so you're developing an actual relationship with the scientific method, which people who grow up doing that and understand the difference between authoritative God science, in which, I mean, science is the official religion of the government, of the world government, right? And anyone who questions a lab coat, right? Like if you question Mr. Ouchie, right, who loves to torture dogs apparently, I don't know. I don't want to take my medical advice from someone who thinks it's appropriate to cut out the vocal cords of dogs and allow flies to eat them alive. I don't know. You might not want to take your medical advice from that guy. I mean, do you? But if you question Mr. Ouchie, right, you're banned from social media, you're a thought criminal, right? And people have been trained by schooling not to do it. Well, if you grow up with a hands-on relationship with the scientific method, you understand the difference between big pharma-funded authoritative science versus, actual science. They're like, you can't question science. The whole thing that makes it science is that you're constantly questioning. As soon as you stop questioning it, it's not science. I digress. So the child was artsy. So then I had them do photography for kids, one weekly lesson, which is just a nice introduction to photography. Same concept, it's like if your child knows photography, you could introduce them to business ideas, right? They could offer their services to do newborn baby shoots, to take holiday photos for families in your area, right? Like there's so many cool things you can do. I started them with public speaking, because the child was into theater, right? The child liked theater. So I suggested that they do the Winning Feathers public speaking course. And then I just did a lot of nature stuff. So they have chickens. So I suggested they do a veterinary science course. A lot of nature journaling, right? The Exploring Nature activity book for kids, how to teach nature journaling, and stuff like that. And then I actually suggested, because the child is into artwork and writing, that they start the child on a track in which they publish their own book on Amazon KDP. And I went over all with how you can have an 8, 9, or 10-year-old publish their own book with some basic writing skills and doing their own artwork. So it was a really exciting track, and I really enjoyed the consultation with the family. And it's custom education, and any education that's worth its salt should be customized to the needs of your child. So really cool stuff. If you want to check out my private homeschool community, that's Homeschools Connected. Share this, share my TikToks, check out my books, Ink Lottie, welcome. I post the replays on my YouTube channel, Classical Learner. Classical Learner Today on Instagram. And that's what I got going on. See if you guys have any more questions today. If you do, I'll be happy to answer them. Hello, Fabby Pink. And if you don't have any more questions, I'll call it a day, because this has been a really great stream. I really enjoyed this. I stream every day at 12 noon Eastern. I absolutely love it. Coming to you, the people. I'm back on a morning schedule. I had gone night owl for a while, but I'm waking up at 4 in the morning now to make my TikToks. This way I could get all of my creative stuff out of the way, and I could focus on the more task-oriented stuff later in the day, as well as being a present father, being a present husband, which is so important. Like, people want to make the world better, right? Like, we all want the world to be better, and the way most people do it is they yell at politicians who are already bought and paid for and have no intention of doing anything to help the regular man. But what people don't do is reject hookup culture, right? Like, if I had a friend, like, I would cut them out of my life. Like, I don't need that in my life. Like, if I had a friend that was like, yeah, man, I'm going out, I'm hooking up with girls, I met her at the bar, I told her she was the one, we hooked up, and then I just didn't call her, like, I don't want to be friends with you. You're bad culture. You make bad culture for my children. Like, hookup culture is disgusting. It's not something I want my children to be around. Like, I want to celebrate people that have family values, because I want my children to grow up seeing family values. I don't want my son to think it's cool to go to a bar, tell a girl whisper sweet nothings into her ear, hook up with her, and never call her again. Like, I want my son to respect himself to the degree in which he's like, no, I won't even hook up with you until I would really want my son not to hook up with her until they're, planning to spend their life together, right? Like, it's such a better culture. Because if you have a culture where people put family first, like, people get married, they mature. Like, when you get married, you mature. Like, especially when you take it seriously, and like, you made a promise in front of God, in front of the community, that you'll take your marriage seriously. Like, people mature faster. They have children. Children aren't born out of wedlock, which means they're raised by a mother and a... Like, people mature faster. They have children. Children aren't born out of wedlock, which means they're raised by a mother and a father. Bad things happen, unfortunately, but generally, if you're getting married, they're being raised by a mother and a father, which means the beast system has less control over their mind, right? Then you homeschool your children, right? You teach them the way the world works, how these institutions attempt to manipulate them. It's just better culture, like personal, unstable connection. Personal responsibility is always the answer. There's a bug here that I don't recognize, and since I'm in the South, any bug I don't recognize terrifies me. I feel like everything here is venomous. Everything here wants to look me in the eyes and tell me it's going to kill me. There's a snake in my backyard the other day. It's a gigantic snake. And I got dogs back here. I got children. The South is no joke. Reptiles like the nice weather too. So, all right, guys, this has been a blast. Been homeschooling 2 years. I'll never look back. This has been a blast. Remember that freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. And I'll be back at 12 noon to earn it.